Hello and welcome back to Haunted Man Cave, the series where I tell you some of the most haunted places in the world. This is not the first time I've covered the Empire State on this channel, so here we go. Here are the 5 most haunted places in New York, Part 2, starting with number 5, the Guernsey Hollow Cemetery. The Guernsey Hollow Cemetery in Frewsburg is actually a pretty creepy cemetery. The graveyard is tucked away down a side road which gradually tapers off into a dirt track ending in this burial ground. It is said that a 7-year-old mentally handicapped girl was stoned to death here by the locals of undisclosed reasons. She is just one of the unusually high concentration of children that are buried here. Many of the grave markers have been tipped or vandalized, and this has caused unrest, resulting in many shadowy figures poised to attack any mortal who enters the secluded cemetery. Number 4, the New York State Capitol Building. The New York State Capitol Building in Albany was built in 1867. In 1890, a man killed himself by jumping from the roof. He can still be seen occasionally making his final leap. In 1911, a watchman died in a fire. Today, he appears as a gray mass of fog, accompanied by the sound of jingling keys. There are reports say that they can feel a high EMF levels, disembodied voices, and temperature drops that are so extreme you can see fog from breath on warm mass of fog, accompanied by the sound of jingling keys. There are reports say that they can feel a high EMF levels, disembodied voices, and temperature drops that are so extreme you can see fog from breath on warm sunny days. Number 3, the Landmark Theater. The Landmark Theater in Syracuse is a grand former movie house dating back to the 1920s, but behind the beautiful facade there are restless spirits lying in wait, as this is one of the most haunted buildings in New York. There are at least 3 ghosts said to haunt the building. The most common one seen is Clarissa, an actress who died after falling from the balcony. You may also see Oscar, a stagehand who likes to flick the lights on and off. Number 2, the Empire State Building. The Empire State Building in New York, New York was built in 1931. The building is located famously on Fifth Avenue in Midtown Manhattan. The Empire State Building started construction in 1930 and just took a year to complete, opening in 1931. When it was built, it was the largest building in the world, and it held that title from 1931 till 1973 when the Twin Towers were built. After the tragedies of 9/11, it was then the tallest building in the US again. Today, as of 2020, the building still ranks as the 5th tallest skyscraper in the US and the 49th tallest in the world. The Empire State Building is named after the magnificent state it was built to represent, New York, the Empire State, of course. In July of 1945, a plane flew into heavy, thick fog and hit the Empire State Building. This tragedy ended up killing 14 people. Just a year later, in 1946, another plane almost hit the building, and it almost hit the observation deck, but fortunately the plane didn't hit the building. Tragically, a number of suicide attempts have been made on the Empire State Building. The famous of those is by a woman named Evelyn. She jumped from the observation deck onto a limousine, killing her instantly. Today, visitors to the Empire State Building have reported seeing the apparition of a woman on the observation deck matching the clothes that Evelyn wore in her last moments. The building is also haunted by the apparitions killed when the plane hit the building in 1945. Today, people have reported feeling cold spots and disembodied voices. Number 1. The Utica State Hospital. The Utica State Hospital in Utica was built in 1843, and at the time it was built as the first state-run hospital for the mentally ill. Back then, it was called the New York State Lutanic Asylum, and it was considered to be the state of the art for the time. However, like so many asylums of that era, the treatment of the patients was anything but supportive or caring. It was routine for staff to perform lobotomies, electroshock therapy, and other inhumane treatment methods. The patients lived in filthy conditions and were confined to cramped accommodations with little to no medical care. The hospital has long since closed, but it is by no means empty. This is, without a doubt, one of the most haunted hotels in New York, and there is still patients wandering the halls. People have seen faces looking out the windows, and it is common to hear patients screaming from the buildings. For the most part, the hospital is off limits, but on occasion they do allow ghost tours and paranormal investigations to take place on the premises. With the amount of ghost hauntings in the Utica State Hospital, it is no wonder why I chose it as my number 1 most haunted place in New York.